Thank you so much for coming out today. My name is Megan Dukett, and I want to just welcome everyone to Mendocino County Museum. Thank you for being here for the exhibit opening of Frontier Days: A Collector's Journey, New Acquisitions from Dusty Whitney. And I'd like to introduce you all, which you probably already know. If we could give a great round of applause for our supervisor, Haschak.
Thank you everyone for coming out today for this great occasion. On behalf of the citizens of our community, this public service award is proudly presented to Dusty Whitney in recognition of your valuable contribution to our community. On behalf of all the residents of the 3rd District of Mendocino County, I'd like to hereby recognize Dusty Whitney, a 5th generation Mendocino County resident and local historian who has spent decades collecting and documenting our county's history. With appreciation, we recognize Dusty Whitney's recent donation to the Mendocino County Museum of over 1,600 artifacts and historic photographs. We thank you for your contribution to the Mendocino County Museum and the many generations of residents and visitors who will be able to view and enjoy and learn more about the people, communities, and history of our county. And with that, I present this award to Dusty Whitney.
So thank you everyone for coming. My name is Karen Horner. I'm the Cultural Services Agency Director and County Librarian. And I had the fun fortune of being asked to help and oversee the museum. And one of the first fun things I got to do was meet Dusty. And I was informed by some nice, wonderful people in the community about the Whitney collection. And in my mind, I was like, Whitney collection, is that just some art? What? So I met Dusty, and he gratefully showed me the Babcock House. I stepped in the door, and I was just in awe and just stunned at all the wonderful what he did his whole life in collecting this all the beautiful piece of our history, all the art, the wonderful photographs. I mean, it was just amazing. And so I asked him to be patient and wait. We were waiting for our curator to come on board. And myself and Karen Matson, who's our great curator, and her wonderful volunteers, and Steve and Scott and Brett, who are here, we went to his house and got to see everything, and they spent months cataloging, inventory, everything that Dusty donated to the museum, and we're so grateful. And it's just a vital piece of our history, this wonderful collection, and this is just one piece of it, and we hope to keep bringing out more pieces of it and showcasing everybody, and it really represents our whole county, and we are so grateful for everybody to be here, our volunteers who've been just a big part of helping with Dusty to get all this out. And so now we're going to let Dusty speak, who's the star of the show here, and we are so grateful that you're here, and thank you so much for what you've done for Mendocino County.
Welcome everyone. Yes, my name is Dusty Whitney. I was born, raised, and educated in Willits, and am a 5th generation of Mendocino County. My family arrived in Mendocino County in the 1860s, where my forefathers held many offices of public trust starting in 1892. There were 3 justices of the peace, 2 U.S. commissioners, 2 mayors, a fire chief, a director of the Redwood Empire Association, and a secretary-treasurer of the Mendocino County Chamber of Commerce. My family is very proud of the fact that 3 of our forefathers were founding members of Willits Frontier Days in 1926. My grandmother, Wave Whitney, worked the Frontier Days ticket booth for over 40 years. They lived in a city where no one locked their doors and everyone showed up for a parade. As I was growing up, I realized that I too wanted to follow in my forefathers' footsteps for the betterment of Mendocino County. I am the type of person that walks around with a hammer looking for a nail. My nail turned out to be a bucket load of civic projects. My first endeavor came in 1976 when I designed the Willits Frontier Days 50th anniversary medallion. From there, I created the City of Willits Centennial logo in 1988, along with the City of Willits Centennial Monument and Time Capsule, plus the Willits California Memorial Award. Next, I ventured into the solar-powered illumination of the W on Red Hill, followed by the restoration of Babcock Park Fountain located below Howard Memorial Hospital. And finally, the best was saved for last, the Willits Arch Gateway Project.
Yay, I love it. It's my favorite.
I envisioned a 6-month endeavor, however, it turned into a 5-year project that was completed on July 4th celebration in 1995. I want to voice my sincere appreciation to the many people, organizations, and businesses that donated time and money so that each of my civic projects could become a resounding success. Their generosity allowed me to be a doer instead of just a viewer. Over the last 62 years, I have collected thousands of artifacts that define the history of our beloved Mendocino County. At this time, I would like to ask for audience participation with 2 of the artifacts that are currently on display from this historic collection. Plus, I also going to tell you a little Frontier Day story. The first artifact is a beautifully designed vintage Willits business calendar from Agostino Ricagno. Can anyone guess what relevance this calendar has in today's world? Okay, I'm going to fill you in. I'm going to fill you in. Augustino and Marie Ricagno's daughter is Willits' cherished 111-year-old resident, Edie Ciccarelli. The next piece is a Civil War signature of Charles E. Bowles. Later in life, he turned out to be one of the most sought-after highwaymen of Western lore. Does anyone know of whom I'm speaking? Bingo. In these parts, he's known as the Poet Bandit, aka Black Bart. He left poems signed PO-8 after each stick-up. On June 14th of 1882, south of Little Lake, which is now known as Willits, the Poet Bandit pulled off heist number 22. It occurred at a rock later to be known as Black Bart Rock. Unfortunately, when the new 4-lane highway was being constructed in the late 1950s, early 60s, the rock was destroyed. Now, here's a Frontier Day story from the 1980s. I was serving as vice president of Frontier Days, and it was time to choose a grand marshal for our historic parade. I came up with the name of Bertha Cook. She was a Willits florist for many years and had her storefront on Main Street. At this point in time, she was living in a rest home because she had recently celebrated her 100th birthday. The Frontier Days Committee asked me to visit Bertha concerning this issue, so within a few days I found myself sitting across from her while talking about the good old days. After some time of revisiting the past, I felt an opening to explain my presence. I told her Frontier Days was searching for a grand marshal for this year's parade, and we all agreed that Bertha was the right choice for the celebration. I explained to her that we had secured a buckboard and team of horses for her journey down Main Street. Her reply to me was, "Well, I guess I'm free, but do you think I can manage the team of horses?" Nowhere in the canyons of my mind did I harbor a response such as that. Needless to say, Bertha was provided with a coachman and the parade went on as planned. In closing, I'd like to thank my sisters Wendy and India White, Wendy Emmel and India White, who have supported me throughout my collector's journey. Also, I would like to thank Karen Horner, who is the Mendocino County Cultural Services Agency Director, and the museum's dedicated employees, Karen Matson, Megan Dukett, Benjamin McBain, and the voluntary crew, Karen Bishop, Scott Furlman, Betsy Mercer, Steve Proctor, Brent Walker, and Gail Whitey. They spent 100 days carefully cataloging, numbering, photographing, wrapping, and transportation of over 1,500 artifacts to the County Museum. In closing, it is my heartfelt duty to give back to others that which has been passed on to me. In so doing, these treasures now have a permanent home, allowing future generations a window into our past. Thank you all for coming, and happy 4th. My two sisters, can you come forward, please? India, please.
Wait. There she is.
Wonderful.
Yeah, are we ready?
Can you look this way too?
Thank you so much. We hope that you enjoy the exhibit. At the end of the hallway on the left, there's also some refreshments of lemonade and water and some cookies. So we hope you enjoy the exhibit and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.